Extra waters.
I got it to work. I can get more from the.
This is recorded? Great.
I can get more waters because we have four.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, Sophia and Jay were like, "Hey, you guys want some water for your meeting?"
And mints.
Oh, mints were ACs. I didn't do.
Oh, but didn't I say candy or something in there?
Yeah, when I came back, there were mints.
I didn't even think about it.
Any questions?
I'm just gonna move other people. We're just giving everyone a few more minutes, and then we'll try to fill the gap. Did Molly say you went down? He did.
Facility sensitivity. Everyone's going.
And I don't have control.
So if we all just sit really still. Don't move a lot.
Yeah. Is it okay if I go into start the bank?
Yeah?
No, I didn't say that.
No, because I don't want to fight over the chairs. So let me get the people from the association.
Okay, all right, you take care of it.
You got a plan. All right.
Started here. Stuck down.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We work with them. No. No, I'm kidding. I didn't mean to. Just no.
Oh, geez. One of my rebooting cases, the trainer went on vacation all week.
Oh, no.
And then told me last week, oh, don't worry about it, it's not on the agenda. And it's on the agenda. And Michelle Heinrich is like, what's going on with it?
Oh, no.
And it's a remand, so.
That's not fun. You want me to go in the middle and collect empty cars?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit at the table.
Do you want me to pull this blue chair out? Or you can sit down? I'm probably going to sit in the back then and take some notes.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna just come sit back here probably. My daughter comes right here.
Oh, good plan.
She follows instructions and doesn't disrupt me.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your patience. We have so many wonderful attendees here. I'm excited. We're gonna just wait just a moment while a few people are trickling in and others are finding their seats. That we had a space available. Hi. Does everyone have an agenda? Does anyone need an agenda? Fantastic. And if I can ask you, before we start, I just want to mention that this is being recorded. So that way we'll be able to give you the recording and notes after this meeting as well, just for your records and to share. Right now, if you could, I think most of you have a little name card. If you're at the table and you have a name card, if you could turn that around so that we can see your name. Fantastic. Michelle, could you get some name? Do we have extra name cards?
We have extra name tags.
Could you? that's it. You can write on the back. Thank you so much. Might have to.
Right on the back.
Thank you, Andrea. Andrea's passing around some name cards, so if you could please just write your name on those so we can talk to you. Give everyone just a few more minutes here.
Yeah. Our future learners.
I know.
Oh, well, then I should put my last name on there, just my first name. There we go. I haven't done this since, what, first grade or something?
We can move these. Yeah, we can move reception. I'll probably get you right here.
We're not like best friends.
Squeeze in here.
Michelle? For discussion questions, we're not going to do the switch off, so we're just going to do regular discussion. Do you want me to do the first one? We'll alternate.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
Yeah, there's the red dot. It's recorded.
Okay, great.
Good? Sure. Ready?
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I'm going to let Melissa Zornita give us a quick introduction, and then we'll get right to it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We did not ever imagine that we would have this kind of turnout for a meeting about the future land use element. So it's hard to get people engaged in long-range planning for our community. So we're really thrilled that you all are here, that you've committed to spend some time with us digging in on the future land use element. Definitely, we already have some notes for the next meeting. We might need a bigger room. We might need the air conditioner down a bit. So appreciate you bearing with us as we figure out, because we didn't think we'd have this kind of turnout. I do want to mention that this is recording the meeting, mostly so that we make sure we capture everything that you all say and that we get all the notes. But just for, so everyone knows when it doesn't say anything, speak out of turn. It is being recorded. Again, I just really want to thank you all. We've got a variety of opportunities for people to get involved in this process. You all are the dedicated ones who really want to dig in on this with us. We really appreciate that. But as you'll see at the end of the slides, we want you to continue to share the information about this process with your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. The more input we can get, the better. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Melissa. So welcome, everyone. My name is Amy Elmore, and I am a consultant with our Land Hillsborough. And today we'll be talking about our future land use update and essentially how should unincorporated Hillsborough County grow. So we're going to talk a little bit, welcome and introductions. We're going to hop into the future land use update, our goals for the future, what changes we're anticipating to the future land use section, and then we're going to have a really nice open discussion with a few discussion questions so that we can get your feedback and really hear your opinions and your input on what you'd like to see as well. And then we'll close with our next steps and how to stay involved. At the very end, we'll have a completely open question and answer session and a discussion session.
You said you were consulting, does that mean you're working for a private company?
I'm working for Plan Hillsborough.
Okay, so you're an employee of the county.
Yeah, I should have introduced Amy, so I apologize. So we hired, the Planning Commission hired Amy and EXP, her firm, to help facilitate these meetings so that myself and Andrea and Melissa can listen and be a part of the discussion, and Amy and her team are facilitating the discussion. So that's what she's here for.
Is your company based in Florida?
We are.
In Hillsborough County?
I am local. I am right here in Hillsborough. I love this area. I work here. I live here. I play here. So we're very local. We understand these issues very, very well. So again, I'm Amy Elmore. A few more folks you'll see around the room. Of course, Melissa Leinhardt with Plan Hillsborough, Andrea Cavenger with Plan Hillsborough as well. And then we have Michelle Simmons who will be joining us, and Alex Burns. So again, we're focusing on this question, how should unincorporated Hillsborough County grow? And that's really what we're trying to discover. We want to get into our discussion today, but first I want to give you an overview of our future land use update. By 2045, unincorporated Hillsborough County will see more than 350,000 people. We'll also see 107,000 more jobs. And this, of course, increases demand for transportation, for county services, for schools, and for recreation. A little bit about a comprehensive plan. Of course, this is a legally required document, and it sets that long-range policy direction for our community. It provides the high-level direction for land use, environmental protection, infrastructure, mobility, and public services. And it's typically updated every 7 to 10 years. Currently, we have updated the natural open space section. We've updated the One Water section. We've updated the governance section, except for the public schools portion. And we've updated the community and built environment section for the mobility and housing portions. So this future land use update that we're talking about today is really that last piece of the puzzle. Now, it's very easy to get future land use and zoning mistaken. So if we think about the comprehensive plan as that 30,000-foot view, then the future land use is that 10,000-foot view, and our zoning is the ground level view. That zoning talks about regulating building size, setbacks, specific uses, and it's also used to approve or deny developments, and it defines specific districts within categories. Both future land use and zoning work together to help maintain health, safety, and welfare by separating incompatible land uses. And this discussion today is specifically about our future land use update and the future land use guide's purpose and character of growth. Throughout this process, you will hear us talk about the urban service area. So what is this? You can see it on your screen. The urban service area within Hillsborough County is the red portion on your screen. The box itself is all of Hillsborough County. And essentially it pinpoints where current growth is focused. One of the things I love about living in Hillsborough County is that I can choose if I want an urban area, if I want a suburban area, or a rural area. And that's what this urban service area allows us to do. It identifies your urban areas, suburban and rural areas, and it helps to guide that growth and pinpoint where it should be focused. But as we know, that land within the urban service area that's vacant, developable, or redevelopable is slowly dwindling. Maybe not even slowly, it's quickly dwindling. We've only got about 20% left. So we have to react to those changes. We have to be proactive as much as possible. And that's what this future land use update is really for. So we have a lot of goals, objectives, and policies that we're identifying throughout all of our comprehensive plan updates. And these goals, objectives, and policies align to set our community up for success. Currently, in the future land use section, there is only one goal for over 700 policies. So one of the things we'll be doing is adding we'll be adding 8 goals that to make it more user-friendly, easy to understand, and it will also reflect the main sections of our future land use. Draft goals were reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Council. And I'm going to quickly go through them now, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So our first section has 2 goals. It's under our growth management section. Our goal 1 essentially concentrates growth in the urban service area and the strategic expansion areas. For our second goal, it focuses on optimizing the combined potential for economic benefit, protection of natural resources, and maintaining that viable agriculture. Our third goal considers local context impacts on disadvantaged and underserved communities, and it's within the community context section. Our development section actually has 3 specific goals. The fourth goal, providing opportunities for housing, jobs, and services. The fifth goal concentrates on bringing a thriving and quality rural community. And our sixth goal within the development section is about increasing business activity and improving public health, safety, and welfare. Balancing natural resources is our next section. We've got 1 goal within that, and we're seeking a balance between the preservation of natural systems and the built environment. And our last section with 1 goal is our economic development section. That is to promote employment and economic growth throughout unincorporated Hillsborough County. As we move forward, absolutely, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, I see a lot of people furiously writing notes of this. We can send out the PowerPoint to everyone afterwards, so you don't have to like write it all down.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Absolutely. And this will also be, this presentation will be available as well online, so you can always get it after the fact. Happy to share that. So as we move forward, we are anticipating several changes to the comprehensive plan's future land use section. But first, let's take a look at what is staying the same. So our agriculture section. There are 3 specific objectives in the FLU on agriculture that we're suggesting. We're also suggesting minor revisions to reflect our current programs. We did make many of these revisions based on input from county staff, the Environmental Protection Committee, and the Agriculture Economic Development Council. Next, we're also keeping our open space regulations the same. So we're not changing our community gathering space or clustering policies that essentially protects the existing natural resources and retains the character of the areas surrounding those natural resources. For our rural communities, we will not be changing the regulations for those specific communities, such as our residential plan, Waimama Village, or planned environmental community. For compatibility policies, we will not be changing those, including our neighborhood protection policies that ensure compatible land uses. We'll also be including our waterfront. We'll also be keeping the same, our waterfront policies, specifically the application of density for lands fronting water bodies, ensuring that compatible and comparable densities along rivers. The purpose of these restrictions is to ensure the continuation and protection of the established large lot, lower density residential land use and character of lands fronting Hillsborough's beautiful lakes, streams, and rivers.
I'm sorry. Appreciate you moving through and getting it done, but go back, resident, rural communities, residential planned RP2. So we're not planning to address any issues relative to RP2 in the process of these discussions.
My understanding, and please Melissa correct me if I'm wrong, is that residential planned RP2 will be staying the same. Is that correct?
So currently what we have in the plan today are what we would say are the existing regulations that are currently adopted, and then we work to change those. 2020, we started the process for the outreach. There was a legal challenge to that, so right now we have those, the currently adopted policies is what we use to evaluate for the consistency findings, but we'll have to see how the legal challenge turns out to see what the new language would look like. Is that a fair assessment, Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, you went through the process with us,
Right.
Bill,
Yeah.
so we are not, at this time, staff is not planning any changes to these areas. Part of what we want to hear from you tonight is if there are things that we should be thinking about changing in these areas, because we hadn't anticipated that. We just went through a couple-year process on that, so we weren't planning to make more changes. But if there are things that's what we're here tonight to talk about.
Excuse me, thank you.
Oh, no worries at all. Thank you. All right. Another section that will be staying the same is our density and intensity section. So there will be no changes to how the county calculates density and intensity. In addition, there will be no changes to the wetland density credit. So if a site has over 25% wetlands, density is calculated differently and they do not get credit for the entire property. There will not be any changes to our infill bonus as well. So this incentivizes higher density and intensity developments along major corridors and within mixed-use areas. This bonus concentrates specifically on commercial uses, revitalizing older commercial areas and encouraging mixed-use projects that include commercial development. Building design, that section we are also not changing. While we are reorganizing it just a little bit, currently it's in the very back portion of our FLU within the future land use section within the community design component, and we'll just be moving that up underneath goal 6 within the main body of our future land use. We will not be changing any site design policies that govern different design requirements based on the character of the area. This includes policies related to access management, our pedestrian network, and landscaping. And these are very broad policies that are detailed and defined even more within our land development code. Our community plan section. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just,
Okay.
Michelle was looking for something.
Our community plan section will also be staying the same. This community plan section enables 22 community plans within our livable communities element of our comprehensive plan. And our mix of uses section will also be maintained. Currently, we require a mix of uses for some specific future land use categories. And we also have a requirement detailing connectivity for 2 or more land uses on one site. So what is changing in the future land use section? What are we thinking about, want to discuss? Well, first of all, most of the changes that we're making to the future land use section will be minor streamlined process changes or typographical fixes. But at our June 13th PAT meeting, as well as our August 8th PAT meeting, we're going to do a deeper dive into a few different topics. First, we're going to talk about our centers and connections section. This is personally something I'm very excited about to see in my community, and it will encourage growth in areas where communities desire it by allowing density and intensity bonuses in specific centers and corridors. Please note that this work was done in line with adopted community plans within the urban service area, And some community plans have specified areas where they would like to see density. And the Centers and Connections work reflects those communities' visions. The intent is to expand housing opportunities in areas that will enhance mixed use, improve walkability, and bring a sense of place. We'll also be looking at our commercial location criteria. We'll be updating the framework for allowing non-residential development in residential land use categories. Commercial location criteria was established to ensure that residents can meet their daily needs for goods and services within a reasonable distance from their neighborhood. So you can go to your grocery store, you can go to your hair salon, get your hair done. The commercial location criteria also established standards to ensure compatibility of commercial activities with nearby residential neighborhoods. The result of a recent study for the commercial location criteria was not transmitted by the Board of County Commissioners, and it will be revised to reflect the Board of County Commissioners' direction and folded into the overall future land use update.
Could you expand on that just a little bit? What did the county commissioners do to change what the planning commission was planning or proposing?
Melissa?
Do you mean for the commercial locational
Yes.
criteria? The item that we brought to the board was not transmitted, which basically meant that the direction was we needed to have some additional outreach, and then there were some comments at the meeting on changes that, the commissioners wanted to see. There was public comment as well. So we'll be bringing that back to discuss in more detail at the June PAT meeting, which is this. And we'll also be discussing that at the May 16th and the May 23rd, like the larger outreach meetings as well. So we'll present those changes that we're proposing that are different from what we presented to the board in January.
Yes.
Will the commercial location criteria element also be the reference that's called RP2 zoning? Should that be looked at as part of this?
For the RP2 zoning?
That is included in the overall table on the
That'll be under
requirements.
review as well.
Yes.
Excellent. Also in June, we will be talking about the transit-oriented development. This is a type of urban development that locates residential, commercial, and leisure space near or around public transit stations, like your bus, your tram, your metro, or light rail. Our existing policies are adopted in the comprehensive plan, and the intent is to streamline and update this approach so that we're consistent with HART and the City of Tampa. Overall, this approach is designed to create more mobility choices for all of our residents and our communities. Then in August, we'll be discussing our timing of growth and expansion area, specifically as it relates to our urban service area. You're okay, no worries. This update recognizes that we will need to expand by 2045 with our, 350,000 more people and our 107,000 more jobs. And a lot of planning needs to occur before a line is expanded. This update will not recommend specific areas of expansion, but will recommend what factors should be considered and what approach should be taken when studying areas for future expansion. Then we'll also take a look at our policies on economic development and equity within our future land use section. Now, these particular sections will not be discussed at our public meetings, so they are specific to this project advisory team that we've gathered here today. And we really want your feedback on some of these policies, so we'll be including them in our discussion in August. Last, we'll have a discussion of our recommended updates for the future land use section, again at that August meeting. So today, I'm going to skip through this. Today we have designed this discussion to be very conversational. We want to listen. We want to hear your thoughts and hear your input and feedback so that we can really create these updates that represents our community. I will ask that within this discussion that we only have, I think, 45 minutes for our discussions, and I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak, because all of your voices are important. So please give everyone time to speak, listen respectfully without interrupting. Do not use inflammatory language or offensive language. And I want to open it up to you. Are there any other things you want the group to consider as we move forward in this discussion as far as guidelines you'd like to see as we discuss?
No one speaks twice, so everyone speaks once.
Allowing everyone to speak once?
Referencing the urban service areas only?
Referencing the urban service areas?
Only?
Well, I think that we'll be able to have a discussion about within this urban service area and unincorporated Hillsborough County as a whole. So we'll be able to discuss multiple things. Yes?
That's kind of my question, just for a little clarification. Is the purpose of all of this to talk about what to do with all the stuff that's outside of the urban service area? Or is the purpose of this to talk about what we're going to do within the urban service area?
Both.
I would say both.
Both.
Everything in unincorporated Hillsborough County.
Yep. Looking at unincorporated Hillsborough County holistically, because essentially the urban service area is there to help identify where do we want growth and where do we not, right? So where do we want to focus that growth? Where are our urban areas? Where are our suburban areas? And where are the rural areas? So we have to think about it holistically if we want to talk about the urban service area. Yes?
In zoning processes, it looks to me like all the departments are like silent. Nobody ever talks to anybody else. And my issue, just one issue right now, is they're allowing people to develop and bring more housing into areas that the students are going to go to overcrowded schools. I'll give you an example. Right now, there's a zoning request for an increase in density for students, for people to live on this particular area, because students would be going to Armwood. They're within 2 miles of Armwood. That means that the new students are going to kick out the old students. And the old students, students who were established in that, are going to be bused someplace else. So this is something that you need to address, that the density doesn't go to areas where the schools are overcrowded.
I completely understand, and I think, as we look at the growth in Hillsborough County, we're thinking about, what the demand for all of the public services are within that growth. So that's definitely something that we take into consideration with the future land use. I would love to get to your question. I want to make sure we have time for everyone. I also wanted to mention, after our discussion, we will be having an open Q&A, an open discussion where we can get in